Om Shri Ganeshaya Namo Namah. Greetings to everyone world over, all our brothers and sisters across the globe, wherever they are joining, whatever time zone you are in. We hope that you are taking care of your health, you're taking care of your wellness, and you all are thinking positive while moving ahead with the universe. Like every Sunday, 8 p.m. in the evening, we go to our brothers and sisters across the globe with their help, with their collaboration, with their confluence, with their podlocking from the world over. We bring our brothers and sisters, non-resident Indians from the world over for lots of where we all can get together for the national cause, international cause, human cause, and whatever we can do good to the humanity. Today, we are very fortunate this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time zone you're joining us from, we have got very distinguished, eminent, I would call coach, I would call mentor, I would call human being, I would call sister, I would call a wonderful person who wants to do a lot for the humanity and the society and the civilization globally. Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran. She is joining us live all the way from United States. She's a neuro coach. She's a cellular health coach. She's a functional medicine coach. She's a reverse aging coach, dietary metabolic coach, and very special, she specializes on kidney as well. A lot of people are having problems nowadays and a lot of difficulties people are having. And as people are becoming diabetic, overeating, overweight, couple of problems which are coming. And of course, our lifestyle, whatever we are eating and whatever we are thinking together, when you take into consideration, I think future is very gloomy as far as health is concerned, unless we become conscious about it. And that's why we just thought, when we say making education relevant, how to prepare global educators, how to bring NRIs for Indian education and skills. And education and skills will come later. First, our health got to be in order. We got to think positive. We got to live positive. We got to walk positive. We got to talk positive. And at the same time, we have to taking care of our health. So International Chamber for Service Industry extends a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of us. Thank you for sharing your vision with us. And thank you for your valuable partnership, which we started from 1994 onwards. Ladies and gentlemen, ICSI is a link between India and almost 31 million overseas Indians world over, wherever they are. Now, let's come together. Whatever and whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I think all of us together, let's plan, let's think about it with Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran. I've already told you, she is a great soul. She's a wonderful human being. She has been contributing a lot to the humanity. And today, we have got a very special session where we are going to link up today's program with the Indian Armed Forces as well as a corporate responsibility, social responsibility, humanity, and together we will take on this journey, something very interesting. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending a very warm welcome to all our audience, those are joining us from world over, and of course, very specially this evening, our distinguished speaker, Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran. Namaskaram. And hi, welcome, pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. Today I have got a very big agenda, but I have got a very limited time. Yes, because the confluence of the people and the variety of the people, those are joining from world over, it's so much homogeneous and heterogeneous together, the confluence, what we are bringing. I've got few tips to take on today from you. Yes. Number one, I'm very keen that having served the armed forces, Indian Army for a long time, having served the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for quite some time, and being a part of the education ecosystem with the children, youth, coach, mentors, principal, teachers, everybody together. Everybody world over is today thinking only one thing: how to have good health, balanced diet, diet which is good for humanity and human beings, not to eat a junk food, how to stay positive and think positive and walk positive and live positive. And at the same time, we are quite worried because a lot of statements are coming from world over. India may become a diabetic capital. And at the same time, people might be having a lot of gray matter, but unless the body water is not having a balance, we might have a lot of difficulties in future. Now, armed forces, a lot of retired defense officers, serving defense officers, defense personnel, when I'm taking into consideration, they are for the nation building, they are for the nation protection. And having served the green uniform, whether you're in Army, Navy, or Air Force, people, those are in medical fraternity, they're doing yeoman service. I salute them, I respect them, I've got great regards for them wherever they are. Now, people always talk about, they think about that CSR activities are there in India, corporate social responsibility. That means every corporate house, 2% of their profit and whatever they have got extra is to be dedicated and devoted for the humanity and for the national growth. If 31 million NRIs, non-resident Indians, our brothers and sisters who have gone across the world, and they're doing fantastic, they're doing great job, they're into different professions, they're expert in their own areas, maybe for the research, maybe for the innovation, maybe for collaboration, maybe for confluence, maybe like you have got a CSR activity in India, maybe a philanthropic work, whatever we can think of, how non-resident Indians can be brought closer to uniform and to the armed forces, and particularly medical ecosystem, medical fraternity, where NRIs, those are from medical profession, and the corporate, those have got power, disposable income, they can help the humanity, because protecting the borders and protecting brothers and sisters within the boundary, geographical boundaries, where everybody can sleep peacefully. When I go to hospitals, the other day I was in the command hospital, Chandimandir, and I saw a lot of Jawans, a lot of JCOs, a lot of officers. Can you imagine somebody is having some difficulty, some ailment, some problem, got injured somewhere while protecting, while saving, while something. So whatever it is, that is one part. At the same time, the infrastructure, what is existing over there, how we can add value to that, how we can bring in more inputs to that, and what exactly can be done, that is something which is my concern today. Of course, the board you see over here, new avenues for educators and youth, that will always remain at the back of my mind as my emotional bond, because you had made a mention that we require more than 2 lakh neuro coach in America itself, and of course in other countries. So ladies and gentlemen, wellness is very important. And same way, when I think about Wellness Park of Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran in the Texas, my mind says, my heart says, as an elder brother, why not to take expertise and whatever knowledge reservoir, and of course, the FDI comes to India, foreign direct investment from the NRIs. Can we think out a system and a mechanism where the medical fraternity in the armed forces ecosystem could be brought closer to our NRIs corporate and NRIs medical experts? Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran, hearty welcome.
Thank you so much, Major General Dr. Gulshan
No,
Sharma ji. I am
Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma.
Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji. I am so blessed and honored and humbled to be your sister and to be your student. I look up to you. I revere you. I worship our Mother India like you do. And for me, it is such a position of privilege and honor to be here today. I'm just overwhelmed with with your kind words, and I don't even know who you're speaking about. It doesn't seem like it's about somebody I know. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your very kind and generous words, and thank you for this opportunity to address our brethren in service uniform, and a most heartfelt thank you to you for preserving our borders and the safety and security of Mother India, my country of origin, and where I grew up for the first 23.5 years of my life. I ate the food that was grown on Mother Indian soil. I will never lose my gratitude and regard for Mother India. To me, Mother India is the source of everything that is infinite potential, infinite abundance, infinite wisdom, infinite grace, and infinite beauty. And so thank you so much for this opportunity to address our medical brethren, especially at the Armed Forces Medical College in India. It's such an honor, and it's such a position of grace that you've given me today. I want to talk briefly about the kidney disease burden in India. These are figures that come from various institutions, including the NIH, which has conducted studies with the help of leading nephrologists at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences and PGI Chandigarh and other top institutions of healthcare in India. So these figures are from our Indian experts. The prevalence of chronic kidney disease in India is estimated to be around 17.4% of the population. This is one of the higher percentage prevalences, and 17.4% of around 1.4 billion people is about 245 million people. So that is 245 followed by 6 zeros. Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji, I'm not sure how we would put that in terms of crores. 245 followed by 6 zeros, is that 24.5 crore people? If we say it's 140 crores, I mean, or am I getting the numbers wrong? I'm not sure, but it is 245 million people. And in 2018, I believe there was a study conducted about the number of nephrologists in the country. And, or maybe it was a little bit like 2017, and the number came out to be about 1,800 nephrologists in a country of 1.4 billion people, in which 245 million people, on a conservative estimate, have chronic kidney disease. So the numbers are utterly almost against even very sick kidney failure patients receiving care. I have, until about 5 years ago, I was visiting India about 2 times a year. And then in the last 5 years, my own son was in high school. And so things got a bit serious over here. And then, of course, the pandemic for the last 2 years. But I hope to be resuming my trips to India. But I would like to respectfully and humbly suggest, as a joint collaborative effort, we could inaugurate a kidney disease registry in India, where we start screening everybody for kidney failure. If 1 in 5 people has it, these are easy tests to do. I have access to very, very high quality, cheap instruments that are being made in Israel and other Western countries that fit that exceed the requirements of the European Union. The FDA is a bit of a different organization. It has some political and some other agenda, issues. But if it passes European Union accreditation, I think it would be safe to use in India. And these are our own brothers and sisters that supply these instruments. We can buy them and put them in the armed forces medical college clinics if you would like to, and screen the blood and the urine for the blood just for creatinine, glucose, hemoglobin A1C may not be possible with that same instrument. It's a little bit more of an expensive test. Again, we're talking in the order of cents to like $1 per test. So between 10 and 20 cents per test, and about $1, $1.50 for the hemoglobin A1C. Then the urine test is another 10 cents or so. So we can screen large numbers of people. We can hold kidney disease screening camps. And these are the endeavors for which the corporate social responsibility can step in and fund these screening, population screening efforts. So we take down the name and the contact information of people, at least their cell phone number. If they have email address, their email address. And then what we do is we start a massive education campaign, because to bridge the gap between the care that is needed and the number, the population that needs this care with just medical personnel, that is just regular MD doctors trained in internal medicine and nephrology, that is going to take a little bit of time. It will be at least 10 years, and we may never have the numbers that are ideal for this, because there are also financial considerations and you need a certain number and so on. So my humble suggestion is that we inaugurate these kidney disease screening camps with these very reasonable, robust devices that are available in bulk quantities. And so we screen their blood and urine for very basic laboratory tests, such as BUN, creatinine, glucose. We can even do electrolytes. And then we do a urine dipstick to see if there's protein, or blood or something, and mainly protein. But once we screen them as, yes, they may have, a certain advanced degree of kidney failure. Let's say we start at stage 3 chronic kidney disease. Okay. Stages 1 and 2 would be the bulk. Maybe they're not even feeling symptoms. As you know, chronic kidney disease presents symptomatically, clinically very, very late. A lot of the time, precluding early care, or at least that's what we've been made to believe by our nephrologists from America, who are all incentivized financially on the dialysis end of the care spectrum, unfortunately, but it's true. So the thing we have to understand is, even if we leave out the stage 1 and stage 2 chronic kidney disease patients and just take in the stages 3, 4, and 5, we will get a very robust kidney disease registry of a lot of millions of people. And AFMC can conduct these screening camps, starting with the big cities. If like in a mobile truck, we can get this truck funded. I even have a design for a screening chair, telemedicine chair. I created this design before the pandemic, and we didn't bring it to fruition. But these are trucks and with a chair, telemedicine screening chair, and these can be run by 10th, 11th, 12th grade educated children. So we can even permanently park these trucks with the telemedicine chair in smaller towns and screen 100, 200,000 people a day. It's not a problem. We can work out the logistics and create this kidney disease registry and start educating them for free about how to prevent progression of kidney failure. What are the dietary changes they can do? If they're diabetic, then how to reverse diabetes with diet and with activity, how to keep that sugar under control so that the kidney disease doesn't get worse. If they're non-diabetic chronic kidney disease, then how to keep that under control. So once we start refining the categories of kidney disease, so diabetic versus non-diabetic, then if they're non-diabetic, what is the underlying cause? Is it hypertension? Is it glomerulonephritis? Is it medication like non-steroidals for osteoarthritis or injuries or other things? So we can sort of get into the details of that. And we can also expand it to include diabetics who don't yet have kidney failure, because I think that, like Dr. Gulshanji was saying, there's also a very large I think 1/3 of the population probably of India is diabetic. So Once we start the education about lifestyle and diet, I think that we will almost immediately see a dramatic decline in the new incidence of chronic kidney disease. And then we can start clinical trials for the reversal of kidney failure, about which I have some very good news to share. And God has sort of blessed us with the ability to share this kind of good news with the whole world. And so I feel very lucky to be able to share it with you. And I want to get to that in just a moment. I also want to talk about a clinical trial that we are imminently about to launch here in the US. And we would love for the Armed Forces Medical College to be a part of that and to have to include Indian patients in this. And this is for children with severe and moderately severe asthma. So in the last 2 years during the pandemic, the incidence of asthma has gone up exponentially. The severity of childhood asthma has increased exponentially. Many people are saying it is something that is being sprayed in the air, or some people are saying with global warming, there is more mold and children are getting sicker, but this is not, the natural phenomena are not completely explaining the observed findings in asthmatic children. There is definitely some unnatural human-based activity that is going on. And Major, we have, you and I, we should have another conversation about this, because it's very important that we get this word out. And that has directly to do with longevity, and it directly impacts the incidence of chronic medical illness in these children as they get older. These asthmatic children with uncontrolled asthma are more likely to develop diabetes, more likely to develop obesity, more likely to develop kidney failure, all because of having uncontrolled childhood asthma. So we are having this sort of connection. We are seeing this happen. So this would be an adverse childhood event, or what is called an ACE, to have a disease that's not controlled with repeated hospitalizations. Yesterday, I read one lady had posted in this group that I'm reading every day, hundreds of these messages. She's an Indian origin lady. Her child, I think they live in the United Kingdom or somewhere, 6th time in 6 months in ICU for asthma. And now the doctors have told the child, you have to be permanently, lifelong on oral steroids. So you can imagine what a death sentence that is on that child. For asthma, my God, we can reverse it. We can potentially, I'm afraid to use words like cure with other doctors, but I'm always gunning for cure. Why not? Why should we not? This is a war. To say that a disease cannot be cured is accepting a permanent prison life sentence. Are we ready to accept a permanent prison life sentence on behalf of our patients and impose it upon them? That is not our mindset. Our mindset is we're willing to wage the war for cure. Sorry,
Dr. PRIYA ma'am.
Yes,
Dr. PRIYA ma'am, thank you very much for your most valuable inputs which you have given to us.
Sure.
Subject is very vast. I want to devote a lot of time on kidney. Today you have brought another area, asthma.
Yes, I will talk about kidneys.
Besides that, also we talked about diabetes. Now, all these areas we will take separately, subsequently.
Sure.
I'll get back to my basic question, because time is very precious for you,
Absolutely, sir.
and it is early morning over there. What comes to my mind initially when you talked about telemedicine chair, and I would recall initially when we were starting this program this morning for you and this evening for us, we were telling that during the Corona time, a lot of people have done philanthropic work where they got closer to the armed forces, providing equipment, instrument, maybe some surgical devices, couple of other things like you talked about, telemedicine chair. Now, I'm taking the complete vertical. Can there be a possibility of joint research, joint innovation, dedication and devotion, where some equipment or some instruments or some other kind of filling can be given to the armed forces medical services
Absolutely.
The surgeons, the doctors, and the AMC ecosystem, Army Medical Corps. When I'm talking about, just give your thrust on that, Dr. Priya, today, because
Absolutely.
I have focused today on armed forces.
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely, sir. So absolutely. I think when you guide me, I'm able to get a better picture of what you need to hear from me rather than talk in a very general terms. But I think the armed forces core, I've seen pictures of the army go into these flood ravaged areas in Assam and other places, rescuing people. They go anywhere and everywhere, risking their own lives to save other people's lives. So my perception of what the Armed Forces Medical Corps can do is to create this national registry of people with chronic medical illness, particularly kidney failure and diabetes, because these are diseases where we can intervene at every stage and reverse it. So I have proof that I can reverse advanced chronic kidney disease. I will give you one short anecdote. In 2016 November was the 50th anniversary of the American Society of Nephrology. And I received sort of a gut feeling that I was supposed to attend and present my findings to the president of the American Society of Nephrology. So on the day that the conference started, I got this inner voice telling me, go there now and do it. So I showed up there and I reached the top people and I sent them all my materials. And I told them basically to, I wanted to tell them that basically to sum up, there are 2 points that I want to make. So he was obviously very busy and highly stressed out. He had to deliver his annual speech, that plenary session speech. And so they took my materials and then he delivered the speech in which he made 2 points. His 2 points were, this is the 50th anniversary of the American Society of Nephrology, 50 years of dialysis care. In another 50 years, number 1 point is we will be doing dialysis on Mars. And his number 2 point was the dialysis machines will be implanted in patients' bodies in 50 years or less. This was his 2 points. Here were my 2 points, and I wish that they could have gotten my message before they presented to such a great anniversary. My points were that advanced chronic kidney disease and even end-stage renal disease can be reversed. People can be brought off dialysis. And number 2, the kidney is the lead organ in the body's regenerative organ system, and it serves a very important function in regenerating the body, which is a previously unknown function of the adult human kidney. So these were my 2 messages to them. And you can see the contrast between what the vision is when you're driven by the money dialysis making and what the vision can be when you're not driven by the money about dialysis. So with that, and I brought all the proof, all my case studies about reversing advanced chronic kidney disease and end-stage renal disease to plenary session and delivered it to him before he talked. So my point here is I have that evidence. Anytime, and I can refer you to a website. It is kidneyregeneration.life. Kidneyregeneration.life. I can go over the case studies with you now, or I can address the other question, Dr. Gulshan Sharmaji, that you raised, which is how do we do a vertically integrated thing from the telemedicine chair to all the way to the delivery of care? And so what I would say is we have an army-based screening program that we can open nationwide, and we can create this telemedicine chair in a very short period of time, and it will actually obviate the need for in-person visit with the doctor. So a patient comes in and they can get screened, and we can put multiple of these telemedicine chairs. The cost will be around $100,000 per each. And then that is including the truck and all those other things. So it is a bit of a thing. It can be parked in small towns. It can be parked in multiple mohallas or neighborhoods in big cities. And then we train these children or young adults who don't have jobs on how to operate it and how to screen the patients and take that information. So we give them a screening history questionnaire. And the Armed Forces Corps can scan this questionnaire and can all be entered into computer. You can use artificial intelligence if you want. You can use keyword searches. And once you get the results and the history will be married in that report. And the report will be given to the patient. It will also be available to the Armed Forces Medical Corps. Now we have a registry that documents the presence of kidney disease, the severity of it, the underlying risk factors, the symptoms for each patient. And this can also be done for diabetes. Now we have databases on which we can run clinical trials to reverse kidney failure. So let us get to that stage. Once we prove to the FDA and other such organizations that we can reverse kidney failure, then the same mechanism by which we took in that information can be used to deliver the cure or the reversal. So that would be the way to vertically integrate it. I hope this answers the question. It's a very short answer.
Yes. Before we wind up today's session, thank you very much for your valuable inputs. Now, what I'm specifically looking forward to is whatever has to come in the form of medical equipments, medical instruments, or medical infrastructure.
I have already done this work. Yes.
What is my take and what is my point to submit over here today before we close the session is, you and me, we have to work together, doctor, where we have to get, first of all, those are doing future research, future innovation in telemedicines and respective areas on the human body, diseases, whatever, how those NRIs from medical ecosystem to be brought closer to the armed forces medical ecosystem of India. That is one part. And second part is corporate who can get associated with our NRIs abroad, wherever they are. And these NRIs are also corporate. They join hands with the medical experts, and finally, those equipments and those instruments, so whatever you want to call it in the medical terms, it comes to armed forces as a relationship management, philanthropic work. That's what I'm looking forward to. And then you can conclude the session today.
Excellent, sir. So I will address each of your points that you have raised. You have asked how to get NRIs who are in medicine to work collaboratively with the Armed Forces Medical Corps. And for that, I would say that the best place to start is to have a registry of patients and to have their conditions documented along with a basic screening lab test report at one point of contact. So when you have this database, then any NRI can come in who's in medicine like myself and do infinite amount of clinical research, infinite. And I can go over that with you, but collecting this individual data on each person, we have 245 million people with kidney failure, 400 million people with diabetes. The possibility is endless. The amount of clinical research that can be done.
Point well taken.
So for that question, the answer is clinical research. Okay. And the fundamental structure on which clinical research is based is the demographic and the lab and clinical data on all these patients. So the Armed Forces Corps can do that. They can do the camps for screening in each city, and once the camps are done, you can permanently park these telemedicine chairs and these trucks, containers that are transformed into clinic for that cost, and the corporates can fund that or however you want to do it. So you are asking, how do we get the corporates with the NRI corporates? So the Indian corporates and NRI corporates can do joint ventures of funding these screening trucks for disease. So we call it a disease screening point of light or something like that, disease screening lighthouse, or we'll just call it lighthouse instead of disease and all that. We'll just call it lighthouse, the lighthouse program, right? And we say the corporates in India and the NRI corporates, so NRI corporates can fund or can supply the supplies, the equipment, and all of the screening and the consumables.
Directly to Armed Forces Medical Corps.
Yes, directly to the Armed Forces Medical Corps, and the Indian corporates can fund the location for these clinics. So they can say we are offering 1,000 square feet in our parking garage or wherever they want to put it, and we are paying for our particular unit in our facility, whatever that is. So Indian corporates can fund the individual lighthouses, and the NRI corporates can fund the consumables, the equipment for the screening. And I personally will gladly do the training. I can establish the protocols. I can give those questionnaires, and I can put a software and give it to you. So the whole thing can be integrated, and the Army Medical Corps will own it and they will operate it. And that would be the least I can do, and it would be my blessing and my humble opportunity to help with that. The final question you asked was, how do we get the Armed Forces Medical Corps along with the corporate? So that I think I've answered already in the second question.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. A lot of questions are there, which I
have time and I'm happy to answer them, sir. Absolutely.
Somebody has asked, but we will take it. No, I cannot go further onto it. That's why we will take on next week. Next Sunday, I would make a humble request to you. There are lots of questions which have come today. I will take on next week with you. And I'm looking forward to getting the research, the innovation, the collaboration of the NRIs, medical services, and corporate, getting closer to the uniform in India, basically for human service, whatever way we can, and we can get collaborated, and we have the confluence.
And we can start with the Jawans, even before we go to the general cities and mohallas and small towns and all that. We can start with the Indian Army. I think Indian Army has 1 million people. Right there, let us start with what we have. Very easy to get everybody's data because they're anyway answering health questions, they're anyway undergoing tests. So this data, even without all the corporate social and all that stuff, can be put into a software that can be probed for clinical research. So we can start at a very easily accessible step.
Our gratitude and thanks to all those who helped during the pandemic and got closer to the armed forces from the medical fraternity and corporate sector. And today we have initiated a new avenue and the new discussion. That is how non-resident Indian, our brothers and sisters abroad, medical experts, NRIs abroad, and the corporate, those are abroad, NRIs, can get closer to uniform in medical services. Thank you, Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran. We will take on the discussion next week forward. Thank you.
So much.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram and
wish you great